If you study the First World War closely, you realize very quickly that the real battle wasn't just fought in trenches. It was fought in kitchens, field camps, cellars and supply depots. Entire nations learned how to survive on almost nothing while rail lines failed, imports vanished, and electricity was unreliable or non-existent. What makes World War I ration systems valuable today is that they were designed for long-term collapse, not short-term inconvenience. Before we get into it, make sure you're subscribed to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like this video if you value hard history, and leave a comment with which period you want us to cover next. Now, let's get straight to work. During World War I, food survival was not about variety, it was about control. Civilian households learned to treat food like ammunition. Weekly allotments were calculated, written down, and followed strictly. Bread, fats, sugar, and meat were measured by weight, not by appetite. The trick was consistency. A household that ate the same simple meals at the same times conserved fuel, reduced waste, and prevented panic eating. Applied today, this means predefining daily rations before a crisis starts. If the grid goes down, don't eat until full. Eat until functional. Decide your daily calorie floor and stick to it even when supplies look plentiful early on. World War I governments pushed bread because grain stored better than almost anything else. Whole grain flour, mixed with potato flour or barley, stretched supplies without collapsing nutrition. Families baked dense loaves that stayed edible for days and were sliced thin. So, the modern takeaway is simple. Store flour, but also learn to cut it. Mixing wheat flour with oats, cornmeal, or even mashed root vegetables, allows you to produce more calories per pound. Baking dense, low-rise bread, it reduces fuel use and slows consumption. This isn't really about comfort, it's about longevity. Fat was the most valuable ration item in the First World War because it carried calories, flavour, and honestly, cooking efficiency. Drippings from meat were collected, filtered, and reused repeatedly. Butter was stretched with rendered animal fat or even mashed beans, if you can believe it. Nothing oily was discarded. Today, this translates directly into survival practice. Save bacon grease. Render animal fat if you have access to livestock or game. Use fat not just for cooking, but for calorie supplementation as well. 1 spoon of fat added to a thin meal, it can double its energy value without increasing portion size. Fresh meat was really rare for civilians during the First World War, so, preservation mattered a whole lot more than freshness. Meat was salted heavily, air-dried, or sometimes cooked and sealed in fat. And honestly, bones were boiled again and again to extract every last bit of nutrition. In modern terms, folks ought to learn dry salting and comfort-style preservation. Even without refrigeration, cooked meat that's submerged in fat and kept cool can actually last for days. And don't forget, reboiling bones 2 or 3 times creates a broth that supports hydration and mineral intake when food is, a bit scarce. Potatoes, turnips, beets and carrots were real survival foods because they grew underground, stored well, and needed no processing at all. During the First World War, households learned to build meals around roots and treat meat as a supplement, rather than the centerpiece, right? Today, storing root vegetables in sand or cool, dark spaces is honestly one of the simplest grid-down strategies available. A sack of potatoes, combined with flour and fat, can carry a household far longer than canned meals alone. World War I kitchens relied heavily on soups because they stretched ingredients and required minimal fuel. Everything went into the pot: vegetable scraps, bones, stale bread and grains. Soup slowed eating and improved digestion, making small portions feel substantial. For modern survival, soup is a discipline. 1 pot per day, topped up repeatedly, conserves fuel and ensures nothing is wasted. This is especially important when cooking over fire or limited gas. Coffee became roasted barley. Sugar was replaced with beet syrup. Tea was reused multiple times. These substitutions weren't about taste, they were about routine. Maintaining familiar habits kept people disciplined and ration compliant. Today, substitutes matter psychologically. Learn alternatives now, so you're not shocked later. Herbal teas, grain coffee, and simple syrups can replace unavailable items without breaking daily structure. In many First World War cities, families shared ovens and cooked together to reduce fuel consumption. This wasn't charity. It was efficiency. One fire fed many. In a modern grid-down scenario, this principle still applies. Pooling fuel and cooking collectively reduces exposure, saves resources, and limits waste. It also standardizes ration use across a group, preventing dangerous imbalances. First World War households ate at fixed times, regardless of hunger levels. This trained the body to expect food and reduced constant cravings. Today, structured eating during shortages prevents overeating early in a crisis. 2 predictable meals a day is often more sustainable than constant snacking, even if calories are identical. The most important First World War ration trick was not an ingredient, it was understanding. Folks knew how much they had, how long it needed to last, and how to prepare it efficiently. That knowledge prevented panic and waste. You can apply this now by inventorying your supplies, practicing simple meals, and learning preservation before you need it. First World War ration survival was not romantic, but it worked. It kept populations alive through years of disruption, blockades, and infrastructure failure. These methods don't rely on electricity, modern packaging, or supply chains. They rely on discipline, planning, and respect for food. If this kind of grounded, historically proven survival knowledge matters to you, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, share this video with someone who takes preparedness seriously, and leave a comment below. History already solved many of the problems we're worried about today. Our job is to remember how.